Mm-hmm.
Here we are.
Oh, yeah.
Right on time. I have been noticing that Fransky does that every game now.
Yeah, are you, after I mention it?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter whether it's on time or not.
He's the man. Oh, have I talked about my nut journey on the podcast yet? Have I not talked about that?
No. Are they okay?
My whole life, avoided all nuts except for pistachios. Knew I couldn't eat them. Knew I could eat them. Everything else thought I was like, either I'm allergic to them or too risky. Started mostly from the fact when I was like a kid, going to like day camp.
Oh, because of your stomach stuff or because of an allergy?
No, I'm definitely allergic to peanuts.
Okay.
Anaphylactic shock, bad. And I just avoided all the other nuts because it's like you're commingling. As a kid, especially, you don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just like, people are like, it's okay, whatever. And so basically as a kid, I was like, I'm allergic to all nuts, can't do all nuts.
It reminds me of a friend I have named Michael who is allergic to shellfish and then claimed he was allergic to all seafood. Mm-hmm. I'm like, but fish are not the same as shellfish, but they're the same sort of thing.
It was precaution as like a child that I sort of just never corrected. And over the last couple of years, so then right before the pandemic, I had almonds by accident and didn't have an allergic reaction. It was like an almond muffin with like almond paste or something. And I was like, okay, I can bring almonds into the mix. Didn't have an allergic reaction. Eat almonds all the time, almond butter, sick.
Yep.
And then over the last couple of years, I was like, I really should like check to see what I'm actually allergic to.
Yeah.
And so see if I can like open the door to other stuff. Because really the frustrating thing, every time I have allergic reaction or a near allergic reaction or like get worried about it, is just like the not knowing. If it was just, you cannot have peanuts or peanut butter or anything that has peanuts on the label, then it's like, okay, cool. But it's like sauces and you're just not sure. It's like, it's just like, it's a source of anxiety.
Yep.
Especially at like different kinds of cuisines and stuff. And
Mike's
so the
like
last
the
couple years,
girl
I
in
was like,
Hereditary.
Don't know it. Don't watch it.
Yeah.
And so over the last couple of years, I've been meaning to do it. And so I finally get an appointment with an allergist like so many months out. It comes it's probably about a month ago. And they have this thing where it's called like a nut challenge. And basically what it was I had to buy, and you can only go one nut at a time. I had already done a blood test and a skin test that indicated I wasn't allergic to anything but peanuts. But you still could be allergic. I didn't react to it on this. You still could be allergic, like coming down your throat and stuff. And so I was like, you have to pick one nut. You can't do all the nuts at once. And so the nut I chose was cashews to start with. And basically what it was you sit there and like you start with a very, very tiny piece of a cashew, and the nurse like gives it to you in like a plastic spoon and the thing. You can't eat anything else. And you just like eat it.
They don't do like I thought for allergies, they do like
the skin
prick
test. I already did that.
Okay.
But it's not like skin test and blood test, not foolproof. You could still be allergic to it there. It was a good sign,
so they just
obviously.
like wait with like a thing just in case you have a bad reaction.
Yeah,
okay.
Basically. So I brought my EpiPen and all this stuff. And so incrementally every 20 minutes, they're like, you okay? Still good? Everything? And you take like progressively more of a cashew to make sure you have it. And so I'm there for like 4 hours, and I've eaten only, it's like noon, and I've eaten only cashews all day, and I didn't get allergic to it, which is great. So then I was like, okay, I'm not going to do this for every nut. I'm going to do it at home. And so I've introduced pecans into it.
Okay.
Which I also didn't have an allergic reaction to.
Okay.
And so now I just bought a bunch of like nuts on their own to one at a time do like this nut challenge by myself. And so right now, and after years of avoiding cashews, they're
great.
I just got a bunch of things. It really is. People are like, it's buttery. I'm like, I can't imagine it being buttery, but it is. It is buttery.
You know, you should. I mean, almonds are obviously amazing. Cashews are amazing, but you got to try macadamias, man.
Yeah, that's I just bought those in the store, so I'm gonna go macadamias. I've been to Hawaii like 3 or 4 times, and I was like, I didn't have any macadamia nuts. So
yeah, they're not that healthy as far as nuts go, but they taste like a dream. You know, so you put the nuts in your mouth.
I love it. So It's really opening the world up for me.
Good shit, man.
Good shit. Just sharing a little life update.
All right.
I can't find my Fitbit right now, so I do think that I might have lost it immediately, which would be a bummer. But I'll try to find it.
There's a bit that's over. Well,
no, I'll find it. I'll find it. It's somewhere.
Ricky's gonna have to buy you a new one. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by Draftkings Sportsbook. Sign up for Draftkings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS, and brought to you by Briggs Auction. No, that's actually wrong. It's not. CJ, just whatever. We love Briggs Auction anyway, but this podcast is not sponsored by them. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS, and brought to you by Big Barker Therapeutic Dog Beds. Get yours at bigbarker.com/Ricky. Bodybio. Get 20% off any Bodybio order with promo code Norman at bodybio.com. That is promo code Norman. And Kinetic Skateboarding, get 9.1% off your first order with promo code Dave Silver. On the show today, the Sixers signed a two-way guy. It's possible that the entire regular season is also August. We get some opinions on the person of Theseus from the filter in the last pod. And we get schooled and yelled at by people who have 2 cell phones who say it isn't that weird. We're about a month away from Bark in the Park, and we have a long way to go on fundraising. And if you want your t-shirt, you're going to have to join the team now, like within the next week. Thanks to Mortgage CS and LL Pavorsky for sponsoring the team. Bark in the Park is the annual Providence Animal Center 5K run and 1 mile walk and just hang out. Great little fall festival. But we always have the biggest team, and our goal this year is to raise $20,000. And we're up to 6,500. We got a month left. So if you join the team, raise $100, you get our team t-shirt. So go to the link in the description of this pod, and we'll put it in the chat if you're watching live. Join the team or just donate. We got to get to 20 grand. 2 new Ricky family pods this week. The Draft Council, which is our weekly draft pod hosted by Dan Olinger and Ahmed Jama. New episode. They asked for their listeners' hottest college basketball takes, and then they comment on them. So they've been doing the pod for 2 months, and they're already doing mailbags. So
I sent one in.
It's going. Oh, you did? Mm-hmm. What was your hottest take?
Well, I put money months ago. Now I put money on University of Indiana winning it all.
Oh, they talked about it. They talked about it on the pod. Yeah. It's a business decision by them.
That's right.
If we send in takes. The Carl Landry Record Club podcast, which is music podcast hosted by myself and Mootlu. We talked about Linkin Park's Hybrid Theory, their debut album, the Goo Goo Dolls album, A Boy Named Goo, and a song from a band called Fontaines DC that Mootlu found. Man, I fucking love them. You can get that pod wherever you get your podcast. And speaking Carl Landry Record Club, Carl Landry Record Club Live 2, which is November 20th at Underground Arts, a celebration of our friend Jason Lipshitz's new book. It starts with 1, the Linkin Park biography, and New Metal Dance Party Night. AU will be there as well. You can get tickets in the description of this pod. $10 for general admission tickets, and $29.08 gets you a ticket in. Also gets you the book signed by Jason and 10 pictures with Jason, up to 10 pictures if you want. I mentioned Kinetic Skateboarding. Love it. As you can hear it in my voice, it's allergy season, but that also means that it's fall season, which means you probably need some new clothes, and Kinetic has great ones. This is what I mean by stuff that you're not going to find anywhere else. Put it up on the screen, CJ. So what I'm describing to you now is a Nike SB is the Nike skateboarding, line. This, obviously, the colors and design of
Sonics.
Seattle Supersonics, but it's fucking cool. I would never see this anywhere else, this Nike SB line. So this is there for Kinetic Skateboarding. Also the Kinetic branded gear, sneakers that you're not going to find anywhere else. Love Kinetic. Look at this, fucking sweet, man. Go to kineticskateboarding.com and use code Dave Silver for 9.1% off your first order. Without any further ado, Amos and the chef.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all.
Welcome to the Rights Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy who would like to tell you about his nut journey. It's one Mike Levin.
Grab your backpack. We're going on a nut journey.
Now that's a t-shirt, buddy. That's a fucking t-shirt. So here we are. August rolls on. 2nd August.
55th.
The 55th of August. We are 1 week from training camp. This sort of reminds me, at WIP, we're looking forward to the start of Eagles training camp because it gives us this new thing to talk about. And then we realize 4 days into Eagles training camp that we don't have anything new to talk about because they're just practicing. So we will get to training camp and it'll feel like for the Sixers, we'll have media day, which will be nice. We'll have quotes, and then there won't be anything else for several weeks. So on some level, October is also going to be August for a little while, I think. We'll get a couple of quotes, but it's still August. Speaking of which, we got this voicemail about August, and I thought it was maybe a good thought. 833 Lickface.
Spike and Mike, some guy here. Basketball question. Is this entire season going to be feeling like August? All we're waiting for is for the regular season to end and to see who's healthy for the playoffs and just see, can they finally get out of the second round? Non-basketball question. I recently started dating someone. When should I introduce them to you?
Which one do you want to handle first?
Never been asked that.
Yeah.
The most important parts of a relationship are when you introduce them to your family and your friends.
Yep.
And your local unhinged podcast that you have a deeply unhealthy relationship to.
Yep. So when?
Last. After those other things.
That's a good call. So I actually, and we got an email. We don't need to read it all, but we got an email from John, and John said, I've long accepted that I can't follow this team only on the expectation of a championship, but I don't need to. I mean, I follow this podcast just for the hope of a championship-induced retweet Armageddon to end all Armageddons. Rather, I'm excited for the regular season because without the regular season, we don't get TJ buzzer beaters and subsequent choking. We don't get Embiid putting up 70 or Maxey going for 50. We don't get the Fultz triple-double or Ben Simmons making a three. We don't learn the canine origins of the entire referee matriarchy or Iverson crossing over Jordan, so on and so forth. I think the only the playoff thing matters is only something that we say until the regular season actually starts and we have basketball to watch. I think we have the mindset that of course they could win 6 in a row during the regular season and we're not like, hey, that's it. We did it. But as soon as the regular season starts, I think having Paul George there, having the evolved Maxey, having all these new players, I think there'll be plenty of ups and downs. I'm not worried about the regular season being boring this year.
I don't think that that's what I've ever said. The idea that the regular season doesn't matter is not that I'm not excited to watch it or you can't learn anything from it or that you should ignore it. Although I definitely have said you should only watch the wins. That is the correct thing to do.
And if you can figure out how to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Delay, for one.
Well, yeah, I don't like watching games. When I watch games on delay, when I know if they've won or didn't win, I think it's less fun. But I hear you.
But the sense of the regular season doesn't matter in the sense that like you can learn some things in the regular season, but it won't matter if it doesn't work in the playoffs.
Sure.
That's what it's not. It doesn't matter on its own. It just doesn't matter like comparatively. You will not be able to. You can have good moments. You can feel good about some things, but those will all be undone if they don't at least win a round or two or more against good teams in the playoffs. The thing that I agree with as far as is the regular season August as well is the idea that the team is not complete. And I've seen people sort of in the doldrums of time here try to figure out or complaining a little bit of like the Sixers don't have a power forward.
Yeah.
They don't have a power forward. Like they're not a serious team. They don't have a power forward. you and I have had arguments before about like being like, I don't give a fuck about positions in that kind of way. If you're saying the more concerning thing is, to me, they don't have enough positive rebounders. That to me is a more tangible issue than they don't have someone who on the back of their playing card would say like Tyrone Hill power forward. That doesn't bother me. But the thing that they're going to do at some point over the course of the season is trade for a guy who is big and can cover bigger body guys and also help Embiid rebound. So that is going to happen at a certain point this year. The Sixers have plenty of picks to do it. I just sort of, over the last couple of days, just sort of went down some rosters and started considering who'd be interesting there, but it's all going to be determined by like, well, which teams are bad, who is like giving up, and how much do the Sixers want the right exact guy. Whether Dorian Finney-Smith for me is like the perfect kind of player. I've said it like 100 times already, but they could go in the direction of like a John Collins, or they can go in the direction of like a Santi Aldama, or half dozen other people that we can talk about as the season goes on.
Please, no John Collins.
No, I'm not necessarily a John Collins guy, but could John Collins be our Aaron Gordon here?
Okay.
In that sense.
Sure.
I don't know.
Maybe.
But there's a lot of guys that are going to become available. He's definitely not my kind of player right now, but if you go like this guy in a winning situation is willing to mold his game to do what he has to do, then that's interesting. So that's the kind of thing I'm looking forward to, of watching the Sixers, see who else falls off, see who becomes available for KJ Martin and like a pick or two, and God willing be healthy in the playoffs. But so there's some element of August. In some ways it's always August, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't give a shit as it happens.
Yeah, and I don't think we would be able to not give a shit.
No, we're doing 2 podcasts a week. What are we talking about?
Yeah, we certainly we're dying for some actual Sixers. Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, listener submitted Jigsaw.
Play.
I will play this game.
Game we play.
I will play this game.
I miss you.
I will play this game.
I'm worried. Play.
I will play this game.
And after the game, they were interviewing him, and they said, how does it feel to win the ultimate game? And he said, if it's the ultimate game, why are they playing it again next year?
Really good point.
Unbelievable
really good point. Really good point.
Doug, where you been, dog? Would you want DeAndre Hunter?
I don't know. I think he might stink.
He might.
Yeah.
Philly guy.
Yeah.
But again, it's like it seems like the other teams that get that kind of player to all of a sudden play the perfect brand of basketball for them are the teams that win the championship. You know what I mean?
Yes, who make the right pick.
Yeah.
But John Collins and DeAndre Hunter are both feel like I understand your Aaron Gordon point, but
yeah. I'm not like riding for them.
It's
just these are the kinds of things that you think about of like, okay, do we want a guy who fits the mold of the player we're looking for, or do we want a better player or a better, more talented player, maybe in the one-on-one style? And you go, okay, can you get better at the other stuff?
It's so dramatic to have this conversation.
I know. I like it, actually. I like it, actually.
So we got this from Tim, the Australian. We got a number of emails from Australians who were like, I didn't start fucking listening because of Ben Simmons. Fuck that guy, after that voicemail we had last time.
That's good.
And Tim was one of them. But Tim did give us a jigsaw at the end. Mike, for the rest of your life, would you rather be able to speak only in rhymes or only communicate through charades?
Rhymes.
Yeah.
I would like to speak.
Yeah, you can't speak if you're communicating in charades, right?
Obviously, it would get annoying, and I would certainly say less, but I'd rather say less but still be able to speak when needed than only... Because I could speak in rhymes and also do charades. I can also gesture so as not to annoy so many people with my constant rhyming, my incessant rhyming.
Mike, the rhyme guy.
Yeah.
Hey, we just hired a new guy for the room. He rhymes everything.
Okay.
It's hard for him to write the jokes.
Unless they rhyme. Yeah.
All right. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by Draftkings Sportsbook. I'm going to give you some baseball futures, buddy, from Draftkings Sportsbook. Now, Phil's clinch a bye tonight. Not bad. They are their magic number for clinching the 1 seed is 4. It's nice that the Dodgers are playing the Padres, who are like the best team in baseball since the All-Star break right now. But so here is the World Series odds per DraftKings Sportsbook. Dodgers are the favorites, which is honestly seems like nonsense to me. But a lot of the baseball odds seem like big market induced. So Dodgers are plus 350 to win the World Series. Yankees are plus 400 to win the World Series. Phillies are plus 475 to win the World Series. Astros are next at plus 800. Guardians at plus 1,000. Padres at plus 1,100. Orioles at plus 1,200. Brewers at plus 1,800. Braves 2,500. Where's Diamondbacks? 3,000. I like, for value's sake, Padres at plus 1,100.
They're hot.
That is the best value there, buddy. That's the best value there.
That's what's in.
Yep. Anything you like there? Anything you like there? How you feeling about the Phils? Phils also plus 230 to win the National League. Dodgers are plus 180. Padres plus 500. How you feeling? You feeling all right?
I mean,
National League's good now. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Beginning of the year, National League seemed like garbage. Now every team seems like it's a 50-50 proposition to beat them in a series.
I think so. Mets look pretty good. Padres are hot as hell. Brewers look good pitching. Dodgers are obviously loaded, but are their pitchers going to be healthy enough?
Yep.
You got to feel pretty good about the Phils. It's just been, it's been such a good year and also such a tough year. And that's baseball.
It is.
That's just what it's like to watch 162 games and have a horrible stretch in the middle there. But
it's like a 3-month stretch.
They battled back. The fifth starter doesn't matter.
Still 500 since the All-Star break, by the way. But they never got pushed, really.
But what if you take out the really bad stretch? Over 500.
Yeah. Well, Jack was giving us the stats the other day. He said, here's Zach Wheeler's stats if you take out his 3 worst starts. And I was like, well, the Phillies have won all their games if you take away. I'm feeling like, I don't know if they're going to win the World Series, but I do know that I feel like they're out of that rut.
Yeah, I think
that rut feels over.
They carry themselves with a level of seriousness. I really am not going to be able to trust them to not swing at bullshit.
Yeah, not strike out 15 times a game.
I'm just not. It's really, really hard to trust those guys because they just so often swing at pitches out of the zone.
Well, and then when they're not hitting, they press and try to hit 500-foot home runs and swing in more pitches out of the zone.
Yeah,
so
it feels like baseball. This team, I mean, they're really, really good, and it's hard to complain. But I'm good at complaining. That's what I do.
Yeah,
it just feels like nobody can psych themselves into being, oh fuck, it's the fifth, and we have one infield single.
Yeah,
and we're never gonna get hit again. And it's like first pitch, pop up, weak contact. Swing at bullshit, go up 3-0 and then swing for some reason and a bad pitch out of the zone. Then you don't get another base runner for 3 innings. It's just like, man, it feels like baseball snowballs on the Phils so much.
Yep.
But they're really, really good. They have 3 really good hosses, and I'm just always going to trust Ranger. He doesn't look as good as he used to earlier in the season, but
he looks cooked.
I'm always going to trust Ranger.
I would trust him for a 2 1/3 inning stint in the middle of a game when Nola gets. Run in the after 4 1/3, but Ranger really looks dead arm, man. He's not a full season pitcher.
He's been saving it. He's been saving it up. I trust him. I love him.
So at DraftKings Sportsbook, of course, you can bet on fucking football. It's football time. Eagles are a 2-point favorite at the Bucks on Sunday. So look, you want to bet, you bet at DraftKings Sportsbook. You get the same game parlays, you get the props, and if you're a new customer and you use code RTRS, You bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Score big with DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 place to bet touchdowns and baseball futures. Download the Sportsbook app now and use code the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code RTRS. That's code RTRS for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 only at DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Got to be 21. See show notes for details. So as we count down to training camp, news from a Sixers perspective: Sixers signed Lester Quinones to a two-way deal. He is a 6'4" guard, played at Memphis, 2 years in the NBA, both at Golden State. A shooter. I asked Sam from over at Light Years. I was like, hey, what about Quinones? He said, plays real hard, shoots well. Think he could stick around as a rotation guy. Wouldn't surprise me, he said. So there you go. They'll have to cut Jeff Dowden, or who's the other two-way guy they have? That
They're cutting David Jones, I think, right?
Oh, okay. I didn't see it. All right.
I thought I saw that.
Have you from college? Do you remember Quinones or no?
Yeah, of course. Do I remember?
Well, what do you think? I've never seen him play for the Warriors, so I don't know much of him at all.
Yeah, he's a combo guard, mostly shooting guard. Scorer, has become even more of a 3-point shooter in the pros. He was a good shooter in college. Is like a role player guy and carries himself with that role player like scrappiness, where he's going to be physical and he's gonna like make things happen on the other end.
I like that.
Yeah, if he's not so. Yeah, this is like partly why I've always been a little bit lower on McCain. Is like he's just not that athletic.
Yeah,
if he was like a little bit more athletic, like and Quinones, I'm not saying he's better or anything, but like. When I'm talking about role players, I really want them to be like set the tone guys with their energy and athleticism, and to be able to do that and compete. And he's like 6'4", 6'5", and also hit shots off the catch. I think he certainly has a chance to stick. Absolutely.
So I wanted to ask you some as we count down to training camp. Just some. Hey, here's a question. What do you think of the Sixers? So first game of the year, opening night, is Jared McCain in the rotation?
No.
Okay.
Not a chance.
I would agree, yes. Second thing, how many points will the following players be averaging when the Christmas game against the Knicks happens? Top 3 guys, Joel Embiid, Paul George, Tyrese Maxey. How many points per game each guy?
I think Maxey is going to lead the team in scoring.
No.
I can't tell if I think it or if I'm just.
I think you're trying to
manifesting it.
Yes, that seems.
I'm
unlikely.
somewhere between thinking it and manifesting it.
Okay.
Maxey's going to average. What did he average last year?
Like
24,
23, 24, something like that.
Let's see. He averaged 25.9.
Wow.
Spike
Last
year.
But there was nobody else to score on this.
Right, of course. In the games that Joel was there, he averaged less. I think he averages about 25, a little bit under last year.
You think Embiid's going to average less than 25 points a game?
I think Embiid goes down to 24.
Oh, my God.
I think Paul George is at like 22.
Okay. Here's the real prediction. Embiid will be at 27.2.
That's still so much lower than last season.
Yes. That's why I'm reasonable.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
Maxey will average lower, 23.6.
That's probably fair because a lot of those numbers are without him.
Paul George, 22.8.
Okay.
Something like that.
That's probably fair. I mean, if you added mine up, they aren't scoring enough points. I hadn't planned for it, and as I was thinking about it, that team averages maybe like 86 points a game, and that might not be so good.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm fine with yours. Yours are. I'll co-sign yours.
Okay. And this is at Christmas game as well. How many minutes per game is Eric Gordon averaging?
21.
Okay. I'm going to go 24. 5.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Well, he averaged 27 last year.
I know, but he signed for the minimum here.
He's so good.
He was on a team that was even more top heavy last year in Phoenix.
Yep.
I do think they can use him, but that's a lot.
It's so predictable for my, as you've mentioned, my views on Eric Gordon are entirely predictable. I know it. And it's not that I don't think them. I'm not trying to live up to what people would expect of me, but I'm pretty predictable in a lot of ways. How many minutes per game will Andre Drummond be averaging at Christmas?
Well, it's interesting because you're sort of averaging it all out, right? Because there's going to be by Christmas, 4 or 5 games if they're back-to-backs that Joel doesn't play in, I'm guessing.
Yep.
So those minutes he'll average 35. And the other minutes he'll average probably
that's how you get to averages, buddy.
14.
Yeah.
But if he's 14 in 20 games and then he's 36 in 5 games.
For perspective, in 22-23 or 23-24, Paul Reed averaged 19.4 minutes a game.
What did Drummond average when he was here before he left? I'm looking. Drummond, 18.4. 18.4.
That's what you're going to go with?
Exactly. No, 18.8.
Okay. I'm going with... I'm just going to... You said 18.8? I'm going to Price is Right you and go 18.9.
There you go.
There you go. All right.
I'm brave enough to go first.
For the kids in the audience who don't know what Price is Right you mean. So, and then here is what I believe to be the most interesting of the questions I'm asking you. Would we agree that Tyrese Maxey will... This isn't the question, but it actually... No, I'm just going to say this. Who will be second on the team in assists per game?
Joel.
Maxey will be 1?
Yeah.
Even though he's leading the team in scoring?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you would have flip-flopped them or something.
No.
Have Embiid lead the team in assists.
I like the thought, but no.
So Maxey's going to lead the team in scoring and assists.
Mm-hmm.
Is he going to make all NBA?
Yes. 3rd team.
Okay. Wow. That's big, buddy.
Embiid 2nd team, Maxey 3rd team.
Okay.
That would require the Sixers to be a top 2 seed in the East.
Which they can be.
Yeah.
For sure.
Assuming health.
Mm-hmm.
Which has never gone against us before.
No. We've never had a problem with health. I think Embiid will also be second on the team in assists, but I also don't think Maxey will lead the team in scoring. So a little bit different for me. The Rights Ricky Sanchez podcast brought to you by Big Barker Therapeutic Dog Beds. I've had a little bit of an issue with new dog Scotchy in that she does fall asleep on her Big Barker, but within 1 hour she is on the regular bed. And she likes getting under sheets. Last night, she got under the sheets and the comforter by our feet under the sheets. Couldn't allow that. It's really a disaster. But they do love their Big Barkers. Rebel loves his Big Barker. He hardly ever sleeps in the real bed. Loves sleeping in his bed. He knows it's changed his life. And that isn't hyperbole. That's real. Changes your dog's life. It makes your dog healthier and happier and in more comfort. Go to bigbarker.com/Ricky. Bigbarker.com/Ricky. You go there. Get one of these process pup patches for free with the bed. You get a white and black one. You get a red, white, and blue one. You get some stickers. And you're going to take your picture with your dog on the bed with the patch. Send it to us. We put them on our Instagram, all that kind. Official process pup. But here's the real key. Not only you're getting all this free stuff, it's great, but you're getting the only bed engineered by experts to keep your dog healthier. It's a real bed. Your dog sleeps their ass off. Dogs sleep a fuck ton. And when they're sleeping, they need to have their joints supported just like you. You sleep on a bad bed, right? Bad mattress, you're going to feel terrible. And as you get older, as arthritis starts to creep up, you're going to feel worse. Why? How could you even do that to your dog? What a horrible thing that would be. You adopted that dog, give that dog the best life possible. Happy and healthy. Big Barker dog beds. Proven by a study by Penn Vet to improve joint function, to improve mobility, to lower pain severity. And the older the dog gets, the more valuable this is. So if you have a young dog, Have your dog start sleeping on a big barker. That way, when they get older, they're supported their whole lives. If you have an older dog, ease the pain by getting your dog the big barker. From the Barker Jr., the little tiny one for your little tiny dog, or the XL for your big giant dog. Sometimes our dogs, Rebel and Scotch, are each about 40 pounds. Sometimes they'll sleep on the same large. Sometimes they'll sleep on different larges. Comes in all different colors, all different shapes, all different sizes. We love the Big Barker. There's a 10-year warranty. The phone won't flatten, or they will replace it for free. A 1-year at-home trial. You try it for a full year. If you don't like it, your dog doesn't like it, they will not only give you full refund, they'll pay for the shipping. It's handmade in the USA. Big Barker dog beds.
Wow.
This is an
Blouses update, coaching update.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I coach basketball in Los Angeles. Coach Mike. Coach Mike. When she does this, do that. I ran a 1-2-1 zone. Coach my ass off. So that's good. Blouse is 2-1 on the season.
Okay.
They lost the game I wasn't there, so I'm 2-0.
That's the most important part.
That's right.
Yep.
Won last night with only 5 girls, no subs.
Okay.
Played hard. Alyssa had 9. Feeling good. Vibes are good. Last season, I don't know if I officially announced this, we went 0-10 in a league that we were not good enough for.
You did not announce that.
I didn't.
No.
Vibes were bad.
CJ, did that ever get announced? I don't remember that. CJ says no. Okay.
We went up a division because we had gone to the championship 3 times in a row, won one of them. And yeah, vibes were bad, just injuries. Mm-hmm. It wasn't going well. Back down to a more reasonable division, 2-1. Feeling good. Feeling good. Vibes are back.
I'm good. Good to hear that you. What portended the new like division or new league or whatever?
Well, no, it's with my league also, my men's league. If you win or you do well, they like rise you up to the next division, basically.
Oh, it's like soccer.
It's a relegation situation, yeah. And so it's like, okay, if you're too good for this level, then you should go up to the next one.
Ah, there you go.
And so after my men's league team won the previous league, we are now up a division. And I've only been to one of those games, and we're 0-3. And so it's a little bit of struggle. I've been having a hard time getting there from work, which is why our podcasts are also later. Mm-hmm. So, but we're battling, man. It's just a regular season.
Go Blouses.
Thank you.
Is there an official logo? We can sell Blouses shirt and raise funds for the team. They need funds.
Maybe.
So at the beginning of the last pod in the filter in, which we left in the pod, we did get a good amount of reaction to that. So I had mentioned to CJ and Mike that on my walk in the morning, I was thinking about the Ship of Theseus thought experiment, and I was thinking about it in terms of people, and I asked Mike and CJ, if you were to change every single thought you had and view you had on everything, are you the same person as you were before? Mike was too tired to deal with it.
I really was very tired.
And CJ, I was honestly completely disappointed with how CJ handled the entire thing, because he wanted to talk about whether it was medically possible to replace a brain with another brain, which is absolutely not the point, 100% not the point. And just as background, I was at dinner with my wife on Saturday night, and I told her about this, and she just stared at me. And I explained to her the original Ship of Theseus thought experiment, and she just very plainly said, yes, it's the same boat, even if you change all the pieces. So I said to her, well, but what if, as you change the pieces, you're building a separate boat with the old pieces? Is that the original boat? And she said no. But anyway, I asked our friend, theoretical physicist Sean Carroll, about my question. And he said, so fuck you, both you guys, perfectly legit things to worry about. Here is famous
to worry about.
Here is famous
to worry about happening?
Yes. No, to worry, but to think about what it is to be a thing. So he said, perfectly legit things to worry about. Here's famous philosopher David Chalmers asking what would happen if you replace your neurons one by one with silicon chips. And he said, my take, personal identity is overrated, whether ships or people. You're not exactly the same person you were 5 minutes ago, but for practical purposes, it makes sense to connect the two beings. It's all about what is practically useful. And I asked him, thank you. We'll read both. He gave me 2. I said, for my own personal satisfaction, CJ's Mike's questions about asking a neurologist is not material all to this discussion, right? And he said, that's right. The original Ship of Theseus question is not going to be answered by talking to a shipwright. It's about what counts as identity. But we did get some calls on it. This one to 833 Lakeface.
Holy shit. That was the best filter in I think that I've ever heard from this podcast, and it's now my expectation. Everyone hit their mark perfectly. Thank you.
But then some actual reaction to it.
What's up, boys? It's Dan. Listen, I was just so delighted to hear such a deep philosophical question being posed on the filter in the last pod. I'll give you my thoughts. I think ultimately this is an end issue of what your underlying thesis is on consciousness, right? If you're a straight materialist and you think that you're only made up of organic cell matter with synapses firing and that's your brain, then you should be okay with the total replacement being the same person. There's no personness other than the physical thing. But if you're a guy that's, maybe it's a religious background, maybe it's whatever, and you think there's an essence, there's a soul, then there's something beyond thought. There's something beyond the physical. There's something beyond, in which case, that's what makes you a person. So, I don't know. My 2 cents early on a Monday morning. Take it easy. Hey, it's Dan again. Listen, sorry, second call. Just think about those belief systems that have reincarnation. Different backbone. It's like totally different. You're different species, whatever, but there's this philosophy of the life, the essence, the whatever substance of your consciousness is moving, and that's what makes you a person. So I think ultimately, man, we're talking about a definition of consciousness here, which is a topic that's deep and totally inbounds for Sixers podcast. So, see you guys.
Any updated thoughts from you guys?
It's hard to, this is not, I guess like if all of my thoughts were different and all of my opinions were different, then I would not be the same person. But I also don't want to discriminate against anybody that has like a major accident.
We're not discriminating, I promise. This is just thought experiment.
So this, in the thought experiment version, if you just sort of reversed, if you just opposite date my brain, then I would say that I'm not the same person just because I have the same shell.
Go ahead, CJ.
I was thinking about it more in
Can
the
you turn yourself up a little bit? You're a little low.
Yeah. I was thinking about it more in the literal sense before too. Like if I could manually change my opinions on every topic that I have, and I couldn't do that. Like obviously some things here and there, but a full 180 switch is impossible. But yeah, if you think like someone getting a lobotomy, there's many cases where I think that they would be a completely different person after than they were before.
So the interesting part of this is then what if your brain was replaced by a completely different physical brain that had the exact same thoughts as the original brain?
I don't know the brain well enough to
See,
how's that possible though?
It's not about whether it's possible. But okay, well, last thing. We got an email from Steve Weisberg, who is a cognitive neuroscientist. And he says this.
So I'm listening to the filter in, which I almost never do because I listen to the podcast and I don't listen. I don't watch it on YouTube. So the fact that you left this in was specifically for me. So Spike is talking about the ship of Theseus and then goes on to talk about if a person were to change all of their mental traits, and asked if that was the same thing as we would treat that person as a different person if all of their mental parts were replaced. Well, this started to make my the hair on the back of my neck stand up because I'm actually a cognitive neuroscientist, and I typically don't get to flex these muscles when I'm listening to the right Sanchez. So I think, first of all, it's actually a really interesting question, and it's not something that I think most neuroscientists would easily debunk. So I don't know how much in the weeds you want to get, but I have at least 4 components, I think, to address this question. So the first part of it is a neuroscience angle. Right now, it is not feasibly possible to replace somebody's brain with another brain, right? So it's not possible to make a replica brain. It's not possible to do the surgery to make a brain. And it's also not possible to know whether the brain that you're installing is an exact replica of the one before. They're just too information dense. It's a meat computer that is thousands of times, if not millions of times, more complicated than anything we've ever built. So there's no guarantee that you can make a replica in the same way that you can kind of make a replica of a mast. And even if it's a different tree, it's still going to serve the same function. We don't know enough about how to replicate the brain to do that. So that's the first component of it. The second component of it, Spike, I think, is right, is that it's philosophy. So philosophically, you can answer the same exact question as the ship of Theseus. Is a person the same if you change components about them, and how big of a change do you have to make? So there's no neuroscientific answer to that question. It's a purely philosophical question that you have to address from a purely logistical standpoint.
So that goes on for 4 more minutes. If you want the whole thing, just send us an email. I'll send it to you from Steve. Essentially, one thing that he says is he talks about consciousness sort of as a river, and you're never exactly the same as you were even 5 seconds ago. So
let me just tell you.
Yeah.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
And why wouldn't he make that turn, by the way? Like he was just waiting to make that turn. I don't know if you heard that. But
Everyone's driving when they're calling in.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Eyes on the road, people. Please.
Yeah. Well,
I find this kind of conversation so frustrating.
Yeah. In what way?
In a way of just like the answer being like, I could talk about it for maybe some philosophical questions like this are interesting to me, but I would say a lot of them are just frustrating in a way that feels like I'm being slowly strangled to death.
Yeah.
Sleepily strangled to death by like logic and sort of smug nodding. I'm just like,
I don't mean it to be smug.
No, I'm not saying that you do.
Yeah.
And I understand that sometimes you have a good conversation about philosophical things and psychological and like, are you the same person? Sometimes it's interesting. Maybe if I was high, but it's so much of it. I'm just like, so what? It can't happen. So what? It doesn't matter. It's not going to happen.
So when I brought it up to Val, she said, are you disappointed that I don't think like this, or I don't enjoy having these conversations? And I said, no. I said, it would be so annoying to live with somebody who was like this. I am thankful that the people around me do not engage in this, because it would drive me insane to do it all the time. But that's how my brain works all the time. And it's why I'm so anxious all the time, is because I'm always wondering about things that do not matter.
Do you like the trolley problem?
Do I like that? Yes. Yes, of course.
What would you do? What's your
After
choice?
we just did 12 minutes of this, do you want to save...
Very briefly, we'll open a can of worms for next August.
Let's do Bodybio first, because we don't have time to do it. So the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is brought to you by... what's it called? Is brought to you by Bodybio. Bodybio is a supplement company that we believe in quite a bit because they care about you. They care about your health. They care about their product affecting your health. They care about your gut. They care about your cells. They care about your hydration. They care about all those things. And Bodybio makes products that can make you healthier. I love using Elite, which helps with hydration. Mike loves using sodium butyrate, which helps with his gut. And they have a new product called fish oil. Fish oil plus rather. And you've been hearing about fish oil products for years and years and years. And they're all over the place. When you go into the drugstore, you see fish oil products. You listen to the radio, you hear fish oil products. You see them on the internet, blah, blah, blah. And the problem is there's so many of them, and there's only so much fish that it has led to lower quality fish oil products, bad fish farming, rancid products sitting on shelves because they sit there forever. Fish oil plus is the total opposite of all these things. They use wild herring caviar, which is like the main ingredient, and they take out the nutrients and they test every single batch like they do with all of their things. So the product, while you look at the back at the label and see the amount of milligrams of everything, may look similar to other fish oils. The difference is that you are going to be able to get more of the nutrients from this into your bloodstream, into your body, compared to the other ones. It's a higher quality, about 25% more of it gets absorbed into your body compared to other fish oil products. So if you use a fish oil product, if anyone in your family uses a fish oil product, we would suggest that you replace it with fish oil plus. You're going to notice a difference, and you're putting a better product in your body, which is exactly the point of taking these things. Go to bodybio.com and use code Norman for 20% off. That is bodybio.com, code Norman. For 20% off. We are now, make sure you write down the code, because we are not going to put it on the website. We're not going to put it in the pod description. It's only for you. So go to bodybio.com and use code Norman for 20% off. Bodybio, Bodybio, Bodybio. Okay. So trolley problem, CJ. So trolley problem being train on the tracks, splits into two. One has 10 people on one side and one has one person on the other side, and you have to decide which one to do.
It's going to, on the path to kill more people, you can pull the lever and then it will change direction, kill a lesser amount of people.
Yeah.
But then you are making that decision to kill
them.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so to me, this is less about what the right answer is, because I think there's clearly a correct thing to do, and more about how you operate in practice, which is different than what I was saying. So I would say that the right thing is to pull the lever and kill the one person. Like I don't even think that's an option. The difference is I don't know how many people would actually be able to do that in practice if that situation were to present itself. Not just a trolley problem in general, but like these issues in general, right? So what do you think about it?
I agree. I feel the same, but I have a friend who's very much into philosophy and he disagrees. So
he says not to pull the lever?
Yeah, he'll go on for hours about how like making a choice and free will, and it's more convoluted than I would like to get into.
That sounds annoying as hell, CJ.
Yeah, it sounds worse than me actually. So
are we going to talk about? We're not going to talk about JJ.
Oh, I forgot about JJ. So
next podcast, or
no? We can talk about it now. So JJ Redick was on the Zach Lowe
trolley problem philosophy hour before you get to us talking about you're the thing you like more than anything else, which is shitting on JJ Redick.
Well, so here's my issue. So we had the podcast today. Mike sends a text message this afternoon. Hey, are we going to talk about JJ Redick on Zach Lowe? I said I haven't listened to it, but I'll listen to it for the pod. And I listened to it, and I found, now I don't know if it's because of the mood I was in, if it's because maybe I'm JJ Redick'd out, or because maybe it wasn't that revelatory.
No.
The only thing I found annoying about it was his conversations about, one, of course, the conversation about media. Two, how like twice Zach Lowe asked him a question and he says, I know the answer, but I'm not going to tell you. But I couldn't really think of, and then the one about media is how he like thought there was an audience for like learning podcasts out there or whatever instead of entertaining podcasts, and he compared like everything else to sugar. But I couldn't figure out what it was you wanted me to.
Oh man, that's so funny. This is the most I've disliked JJ.
Oh really?
This is the most I've ever disliked him.
Oh, cook. What
just
about
all of I didn't take notes. I was listening to it on the ride to work, but like I just found it. Every one of his answers was just like the most smug I've ever heard a person be.
Oh yeah. Well, he's the Lakers coach now.
Zach asked him about Anthony Davis's shooting struggles since the bubble, and JJ said, "I have a theory, and if I'm right, I'll share it with you later." And he just everything. And the question about like
the Anthony Davis threes or something, he goes, "I have a theory on that." Or is that the one that
that's what I'm
talking about? Okay, yeah.
Oh man, Zach bringing up, hey, a lot of coaches around the league, assistant coaches, staff, etc., are like, hey, it seems like you skipped the line and you don't really deserve this thing. And then JJ was basically like, when we talk about like deserve, it's just basically, it was all bullshit. And it was just like, yeah, I got it. Yeah. I got the job. So obviously I don't think that that's a problem.
Right.
But he was acting in a certain way. It was so tough. The Doc Rivers line was really funny to me because Doc said, yeah, maybe JJ will know how hard it is now upon getting a coaching job. That somebody asked Doc Rivers about it, and he said, yeah, maybe JJ will learn how hard it is now, and spending all his time criticizing coaches. And Zach was like, what did you feel when I heard that? And he was like, I felt nothing when I heard that. And it just like over and over again, it was just him being truly the smuggest guy on the planet. Talking about a little joke he made to LeBron. We never talked about it, I bet. And Jerry Colangelo interviewed 70 guys to be the job, and it happened to land on his son.
He also, I couldn't figure it out. It also seemed like he was blatantly lying about the timeline again.
Once again, yeah.
Yeah, he was like, he made it so he didn't even interview with them until after the Dan Hurley thing, which also obviously he was lying. I don't know. It all seemed like really normal JJ Redick to me. So I didn't.
Just the way some of the lines, also him talking about like, oh, I wish I could remember the exact phrases. There was something about him being like, when he was talking about, I'm a true believer in the process. And I really think that if you commit yourself to the process, then the results will come. And it's like, so you just care about the results. Like that's, if you didn't care about the results, then you wouldn't be so committed to the process. Like everybody just says shit, man. They just say shit. They hear things. And he started talking like a tech CEO about some of it. He was just like, we're going to holistically engage in some like bullshit. It was really, really, I'm just driving into work being like, this fucking guy. I really did enjoy him sometimes as an interviewer. I really liked him as a color commentator on the broadcast. I thought he was good. I thought he was like got his point in and out, like conveyed interesting stuff that a lot of other color guys just sort of go through the motions. The fun thing about Doc is that Doc also was just like kind of a fake color commentator that then got hired as a head coach.
Yes.
And Doc being like resentful of JJ, being like, he's just saying what he thinks. And it's like, so did you. Yeah. And then you got hired for 25 straight years. It's these guys, they're just the same. It's funny that they dislike each other so much. But
that's probably why. And it's probably why on some level I hate JJ, in that there is similarities between him and I.
Wow.
You know?
Looking inward.
Well, I mean, of course.
If you switched your brain with JJ's brain.
There was one other thing that he was particularly smug about. And Zach goes, so what's your starting lineup going to be? He goes, the one that was 23-10 last year.
The one that was 23-10 last year? And it's like, yeah, we all know that. We all memorize it. Oh, he's going to go with the one that's 23-10. Sick. Okay, smart. That's tough. Also, I was watching, I forget which WNBA playoff game. It might have been Brooklyn, Atlanta, or New York, Atlanta, Liberty Dream. And they show, here are the celebrities there, and who's sitting next to, I forget who it was, honestly. It was one of the Olympians, I think, a runner or a gymnast. I'm forgetting who. Who's sitting next to her? It's Tommy.
Oh, there he is.
It's just Tommy. It's always Tommy. If you just wave a camera around the like expensive areas of any arena, you will eventually find Tommy. He's not there the whole time, but if you do it for long enough, he will show up. He's a little bit like Santa.
Yeah.
And like how does he there in every arena? How is he delivering gifts to children around the world all the time? And it's like he's very fast with it. He just moves in and out.
Yeah.
He really moves in and out. And he makes his appearance. He gets on the jumbotron. He goes.
Yeah, almost like a Michael Myers type figure. In every time you turn it, you can run as fast as you want, and he's just gonna walk, but he'll be right behind you.
He's right there. He's right there, sitting courtside, wearing those clothes, looking like that.
Yep.
Trying to seem cool, trying so hard to seem cool. What do you do? What do you do?
I am a little fearful that
it's going to bite me in the ass. Absolutely. 100%.
Well, you definitely, because 100%. He's closer to your industry than he is my industry.
It has the fact that it hasn't happened already.
Yeah. I'm a little worried that I will be somewhere where he is.
That's right.
Yeah, and I'm going to have to
ask him what he does.
Yeah. Yes.
You're going to have to ask him what he does.
I will. I worry. You know how I told you that I was going to a thing where Jimmy Butler was going to be this weekend? Mm-hmm. I worry it's the kind of thing that he could be at.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I think, so he would know who I was, and I think he would actively avoid talking to me, which would be fine.
It's the best you can hope for.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Never met the guy. Just don't know what he does.
Yeah.
And just want to know why he's always around and why he's only around famous people.
Two quick things before we go. We mentioned when we did the Joel Embiid contract thing and showed the picture, we were debating whether Josh Harris had 2 cell phones. And we got several emails like this one from Ryan, right? To RickySanchez@gmail.com. I enjoyed the speculation regarding Josh Harris's 2 cell phones on the last pod and the suggestion that it could be for some nefarious reason or a fat wallet. Sadly, as another soulless employee of a private equity firm, I can report it's actually a pretty simple explanation. Employees of companies monitored by the SEC must have a separate work phone for work communication so they can be tracked/monitored. Like Mike, I also have a few less billions of dollars than Josh Harris, but also have to carry 2 phones. Look forward to seeing this make Mike's head explode about this fact about the private equity industry. And on top of it, I started thinking, my wife has 2 phones. They gave her one for work. She has a regular phone. So,
yeah. I know people that have 2 phones. I guess you don't have to be extremely wealthy.
No.
2 phones.
And then I enjoyed this relationship advice question so much.
I don't even remember what I said, honestly.
Yeah,
we can't be held. Nothing I'm saying about Tommy or otherwise can be held against me in
not
deep
at this
August.
point in August. Real quick relationship advice.
I keep my heart under my pillow with my teeth and other lies. I've been waiting on your halo just to shine the light.
Of course, that is Eliza Hardy-Jones.
Just to shine the light.
Of the War on Drugs, but also of the Ricky. Here is relationship advice from, they always sign their name, and I'm just going to say anonymous because I don't know if he wants his name signed. In my adult life, I want to watch Mike as I read this. So I'm going to get my prep out of the screen way.
Should I read it as you talk about it, or should I just listen?
No, just listen.
Okay.
It's not that long. In my adult life, I've written 3 desperate take me back style love notes after being dumped. 2 were politely received, but one ultimately received a firm no. 1 was rejected with prejudice and resulted in being blocked on all platforms and accused of stalking. One might say I should have learned my lesson. Realistically, I understand that someone's feelings about you don't typically change after they've lost interest, but I'm a romantic and I want to believe in the remote possibility that a gesture like this could, quote, work in some particular context. My questions are, have you ever tried a similar desperate gambit and what happened? And is it ever appropriate or prudent to do this or not?
No, I've never done this.
Yeah.
3 is a lot. Fool me once.
Yes.
I think maybe some self-examination before it gets to that point. at least 2 were decently received in like, oh, that's so nice, but no thank you. I think there's an appropriate way to do it, obviously, of putting yourself out there, and if there is a core issue or an apology that needs to be made and taking ownership of a situation and doing that before it's too late, I think is reasonable. But if it's just, I don't like you very much, then maybe you just take that hit and say, I'm going to try to find someone who does, rather than trying to convince them that they actually do like me that much.
Yeah, I agree. So I don't think I've ever written a take me back letter, but I have, I've been with the same one for 15 years. So this is obviously like a really long time ago, but I have done the try not to get broken up with, or, pathetically ask for it not to be true. But I've never done the full-on take me back letter. A couple things on this. First of all, you should be so lucky as to have somebody honestly break up with you and not like slowly drag it on and, and start ghosting you and be weird for months and all the worst ways that people break up with other people because they don't want to be honest with you and just tell you that they don't want to date you anymore. So you should be happy that someone is actually honest enough with you to break up with you. And the second thing is, rather than doing the take me back letter, if we're going to strategize this, wait a few months and check in and say hi, like a normal person. And if she's regretting it, I'm sorry, I'm just assuming it's a she. I think you said that in the email. But if the other person is regretting it, you'll know by the response to that check-in. I think hey, hope you're doing good, quick text, or hey, saw this, reminded of you, quick text, just as like a temperature check. A few months later, there's nothing, you could do that. As long as it didn't end in some horrible way, where it would seem inappropriate to even say hello ever again. But here's why you're making a mistake letter. It's never gonna work. It's just bad strategy more than anything else.
No.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that was a dense podcast. Our friend
was it?
Yeah. Well, it was full of a lot of stuff. Our friend Jason Lipschitz earlier said, not everybody is built for the September pods, but I cherish them. That was his text.
Wow.
Yeah.
Kelly Olynyk, also a possibility for a power forward spot.
Well, we've wanted him for years.
Yeah.
He's your Eric Gordon, some might say.
I don't die for Kelly Olynyk. I think he's a very solid player and would be helpful here in that sort of shooting 4 that can also provide some 5.
Mm-hmm.
Good passing. I think the shooting and the passing would be really nice, and the size at the 4 position would be nice.
And he's kind of a dirty player, which you like. You gotta like.
I always like that.
Yeah.
I just think more than going forward, Olynyk is the perfect guy. I do think going backwards, had they had him for many of those seasons, they would have won several championships already, because he was the exact kind of thing that they didn't have, namely a backup center, but also someone that can shoot and pass.
A real quick thing, CJ, you got somebody called and left a message and asked, so Spotify does these automatically generated chapters of our podcast, but the names are spelled wrong, the chapters are weird, and somebody thought you were doing all of them and wanted to alert us that you're spelling Joel Embiid wrong, you're doing everything wrong. Just thought you were the shittiest producer of all time, and it wasn't just AI generated chapters.
I do them manually on YouTube. But YouTube, the timestamps are slightly different. So if I wanted to do them on Spotify, I would need to do a different timestamp. But I knew that they did them automatically already. So
yeah. Well, apparently it spells Joel, Joelle.
And I'm sure it is different pod to pod too, because
they
probably just spit something out new every time.
Should definitely take people's jobs with AI that can't even spell fucking Joel right on the Sixers podcast. Very good. Yeah, useful tool. Such a useful tool. Useful tool. Useful. Drain all the water out of the world. Use all the energy. Useful tool. We don't need any forests because somebody can whip up a little quick thing that they can think of with their own brain that they're not swapping with someone else's. Use it.
I don't think they're getting rid of the forest.
Grow up.
Okay. We'll talk to you next time.
Grow up.
Are you down with TTP?
Yeah, Lake Face.